I think every man's dream is to become some type of millionaire from gambling or sports betting, okay? Everybody wants to make tens of thousands of dollars from sports betting, but they don't even know where to start, or they're still stuck chasing 12-leg parlays on DraftKings and FanDuel when things like arbitrage sports betting exist, okay? And arbitrage, if you don't know what it is, it's a form of sports betting where it ensures us risk-free profit no matter what happens. That's my main strategy. It's my main thing. I've been doing it for a very long time. So in today's video, I'm going to be showing you guys 5 of the best tips for arbitrage sports betting to help you reach that first $10,000 month. Now, I make around $10 to $15, maybe even $20,000 sometimes monthly from arbitrage sports betting. And these are the 5 tips that I could think of that actually helped me get me there, okay? There's a lot of stuff on the internet regarding arbitrage sports betting. There's a lot of stuff on YouTube regarding sports betting in general. But coming from personal experience and my success, these tips actually helped me scale arbitrage from whatever I was doing, a couple $100s here and there, to tens of thousands of dollars every single month. So that being said, let's get into the first one. You need to master the foundations first. Now, I'm not talking about learning what arbitrage betting is, because if you don't know what it is, super easy to just go look up and do it yourself. But when I talk about mastering the foundations, I mean learning how the books work, learning how the market moves, learning the conversions between American odds, fraction odds, decimal odds, all of these different things, how these odds work, the implied percentages behind them, right? Because if you don't understand what odds are and why the books are placing these odds at the price that they're at, and how, CLV works and how the closing line value compares to what you got it at, you're never going to successfully scale arbitrage betting in the long term and make it a sustainable side hustle. If you don't understand how positive expected value works, how plus EV works, which bet is actually the more profitable side and why, like I mentioned before, you're not going to successfully scale. And that's fine if you don't know what it is right now, because I'm here to teach you, right? Positive expected value, right? By definition of an arbitrage bet, one side of the bet is more profitable than the other side, right? Because both lines, if not one more than the other, are out of sync, okay? That's how an arbitrage opportunity is created. 2 different sports books, over and under, or opposing outcomes of the same events. One side, by definition, is more profitable than the other side. And that's the only way an arbitrage opportunity is possible to be created or formed. Now, understanding which side is more profitable is the positive expected value side, or is the plus EV side. People also really just want to start making thousands and thousands of dollars off the rip without even mastering the fundamentals first. So right now, this tip is all about mastering the fundamentals, mastering the foundations. But you can't master something if you don't practice. This is why I always recommend start off small. Start with $50, $20, $30 on each side, just to understand how these actually work. Understand how fast the lines actually move. Understand the difference between pre-match and live arbitrage sports betting, because it makes all the difference in the world. Now, tip number 2 is to leverage as many sports books as humanly possible. Having multiple sports books is not like having one single partner. You're supposed to cheat on your sports book, okay? I know some people, they've come in my DMs or they're in my Discord asking, hey, which is the best sports book to sign up for in this state? Or what is the preferred sports book to sign up in this state? And my answer is the same every single time. There is none. You should be on every single one, or if not every single one, as many as possible. Now, the reason for this is because sportsbooks, not only do they offer promotions and bonus bets where, frankly, it'll allow you to double, triple, 4, even 5x your bankroll for free. It also offers deposit bonuses, which will also allow you to sometimes double your bankroll. For example, Prize Picks has a deposit bonus, up to $100, or some of these other apps will also offer deposit matches and deposit bonuses. That's my first point. Second point is that sportsbooks offer valuable market inside data. Being on multiple sportsbooks allows you to compare odds across the market. Okay? It allows you to compare odds, see which prices you're getting them at, and see which ones have better value. Now, the reason this is important is because when arbitrage sports betting, you need a minimum of 2 sportsbooks. Now, this whole strategy is based off of mistakes made by these said sportsbooks. Now, what happens if you're only on 2 sportsbooks? These aren't going to have as many mistakes between them as compared to if you were on 5, 6, 7, 8 sportsbooks. Now the opportunities between sportsbooks are endless, right? you kind of see where I'm going here with being on multiple sportsbooks will only benefit you because one, it's free to sign up, okay? And two, you're getting deposit bonuses and risk-free money and more opportunities to actually make this risk-free money, which is super important. For example, there are two different types of books: soft sports books, which is more recreational, and sharper sports books, which actually provide more efficient odds. And what I mean by that is their probabilities, or their true probabilities, most accurately reflect what's going to happen in the market. So, for example, the two sports books that I like to use for references in true probabilities is Pinnacle and Circa. These two provide the most efficient odds, and they're widely known for being two of the most sharp sports books. Okay, and now recreational sports books or softer sports books have lines that are probably more favored to the average bettor. You know, you might see more value on Bet365 compared to Pinnacle, right? So having the knowledge to be able to tell the difference between the two and which sportsbook is more accurate than the other will also help you understand everything about arbitrage sports betting and how these opportunities are created. And sometimes it'll even save your ass when you make a mistake and you're too slow to get into certain sports or a certain bet. You can go shop on other sportsbooks to see if there's any types of lines that can save you when you make this mistake. So instead of getting one side in on DraftKings and the other side was on FanDuel, and FanDuel obviously changed the line, now you can get that bet in on BetMGM, or you can get that bet in on Bet365 for equal or sometimes even better value. Now, this brings me into tip number 3, which is probably the most important one, and it's automating this entire process, okay? Automating line shopping, automating finding these arbitrage opportunities, because if you were to go and do this by hand, and I know people that do, okay? I see people in my Discord that scroll through sports books and say, hey, is this an arbitrage opportunity? This is going to be a giant waste of time. There's no way you're ever going to make more than $1,000 a month, maybe $1,000 if you're lucky, doing this with the naked human eye. Now, that's the entire reason we have softwares like OddsJam. OddsJam scrapes data from the thousands of sportsbooks across the entire world and pastes all of the profitable opportunities on your screen. Their arbitrage tool is great. I've been using them for years, and they're the only ones that I've used. And trust me, I've tried a lot of arbitrage tools, okay? And OddsJam is by far the best one. All of the arbitrage opportunities are pasted directly on your screen for all of the sports books across the world, not just the United States. It's available for people in Australia, Europe, all across the world that want to get started in this industry. Check out OddsJam using the link in my description. You'll get a 7-day free trial, and you can use code JC35 for 35% off your first purchase. Now, tip number 4 is to track every single bet, because if you don't track your bets, you don't know what's working and what's not working for you. There's a couple reasons why tracking your bets is super important. Number 1, because arbitrage requires very precise bet staking. Your entire goal with arbitrage is to make both outcomes be the exact same, and the only way to do that is by placing an X amount on one side and X amount on the other. Sometimes you can make mistakes, and tracking your bets is super important to go back and double checking your hedges, double checking your math, and double checking your entry. And number 2, it shows you true probability. Okay, when you're placing dozens, maybe even hundreds of bets per week, it's impossible to remember your results. You can't remember if you were arbitrage betting this day or doing another type of strategy this day, and you're going to kind of get confused with your profits and losses, and it's just a mess that you don't really want to have to think about. It's a way to reduce headaches, okay? Because arbitrage sports betting can get very stressful, very complicated. Having something to track all of your wins, losses, your profits, mistakes, it's just saves you a lot of time. And number 3, it shows you the best types of markets and the best types of books that's working for you. Because what works for me might not work for you, and vice versa. Right? You might have access to different sports books than I do. You might have access to different markets than I do. Now, with that being said, sometimes you'll see that certain books are showing you a lot more opportunity than others. And the only way you're ever going to realize that is if you're tracking your bets, right? You could be making thousands of dollars on this book and losing thousands of dollars on this book. Now, you would have never known that, right? If, you weren't tracking. Or you could be using this book a lot more than you were using this book, and this book is kind of just sitting in the dust waiting for promotions to be claimed, etc. Right? You're not getting much value out of this one. Now, obviously, it doesn't really matter, what books you're using a lot, what books you're not. But when it does come, to time to talk about limits, time to talk about, restrictions, now you can kind of see where this data is going to come in from, right? If you're winning a fuck ton on this book, you're not getting too much value on this book. It might be time to consider focusing on other sports books. And the only way to do this is by tracking your bets. And tip number 5 is arguably one of the more important ones, and it's your mindset. You need to stay disciplined. When you enter the realm of profitable sports betting, there's no more chasing your losses. There's no more taking a team only because you like them. There's no more nuking plays and putting thousands of dollars on one play and putting 25 bucks on the other. There's no more of that. Because what that's going to do is offset your wins. You can make $1,000 arbitrage betting in a month, and then you can lose that $1,000 because you get emotional the very next day. Because your favorite team is playing, you want to place $1,000 and just destroy all of your profits or risk losing every single thing. Staying disciplined is very important because profit is better than loss. 97% of sports bettors are not profitable, meaning they haven't seen a single dollar in profit since they started sports betting. And that is because 97% of sports bettors aren't disciplined using these types of strategies, right? You go into a casino, you're counting cards in blackjack, you end up winning, okay? You're going to end up winning more than you lose if you do it long enough. Now, that's the exact same thing with profitable sports betting. If you do it long enough, you will be profitable. But it's very easy to throw it all away because it gets frustrating. It's hard to learn, right? I'm not saying this is easy. It's hard to learn. It's frustrating. It's complicated. It's going to give you a ton of headaches. But at the end of the day, you stay disciplined. You're on top of your shit. You're learning, right? You're investing in your knowledge. You're going on Reddit threads. You're learning from people on TikTok. You're watching my videos, right? Learning, investing in your knowledge, and actually practicing day to day. Staying disciplined, not giving up when it gets hard, right? There are certain days when I'll lock in 0 arbitrage bets because I'm scrolling through the live feed and I can't seem to get one in for my life. And then 30 minutes later, I lock in 5 in the span of 30 minutes, right? So what I'm saying is this is a very up and down roller coaster. Whether you're using arbitrage, positive EV, it doesn't matter, right? At the end of the day, staying disciplined is the most important thing when it comes to anything in life. So that's just a mindset and mentality switch that you need to implement for yourself. All right, guys, and with that being said, those were my 5 most important tips when it comes to profitable arbitrage sports betting. Hopefully, you can use these to implement and actually start seeing thousands of dollars from this strategy. I teach this all for free on my Instagram on this YouTube page. So if you want to check it out, my @ is @ChoiCooks. I post a lot about arbitrage sports betting, so I think you'll find it helpful. If you like this video, if you like this strategy, make sure to subscribe to the channel, leave a comment what you want to see next, turn your notification bells on. It helps me out a ton. It helps OddsJam out a ton. With that being said, I love you guys, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.